It was a nice way to end what's been a really interesting morning of talks.
Any questions, comments before? I'm sure some of the guys here can make that tomorrow.
I think we're a little way off.
Yeah. Tony, you were going to
Yeah. Well, I was going to try and draw things together, but I think that's an impossibility. I thought it was a fantastic spectrum of possibilities that we saw this morning, from different things happening within the industry and to relationships between designers and artists who are already working with the industry, right through to the sort of stuff that's coming out of the RCA, sort of bubbling underneath the surface and emerging from almost the other end of the spectrum, just pure ideas and pure speculation and experimentation. It seems like the time is just right to start to bring these two worlds together and see what kind of things can come from that. Hopefully we'll get some hints of that this afternoon. I think one of the things that struck me was quite interesting was Lauren's ending comment on "show me what you're doing and I'll make you something weird." And, I think we've heard of weird science, so I think maybe there's weird craft as well. And it's not just a distraction, but this weirdness, this kind of left field way of looking at things can serve many purposes. It can actually, as some people say, to create discussion and debate and awareness and presence in the press on the one hand. It can sort of help us anticipate some of the kinds of things that might happen down the road once these sorts of technologies start to enter everyday life. And it can identify new opportunities and new possibilities for the technology, new needs that aren't necessarily practical, but more to do with very human things like communication or aesthetics and so on. And one thing that I was particularly interested in that seemed to be popping up in a lot of the designers' work that I hadn't really thought about before was this fascination with what's happening on a molecular level, not necessarily biological, but just at a tiny, tiny scale, and how that takes you into thinking not just about objects, but also about designing colour, for example, or designing the behaviour of materials. And I think this is a really fascinating direction for experimentation. I think the last thing I want to say is at the completely opposite end of the scale, a few people in the audience raised issues about sustainability, and I think these are really important issues. But it started making me think that, again, it's not just about making a sustainable object or a recyclable object, but with these kinds of technologies, they're so complex and there are trade-offs here, there, and everywhere, that we have to look at things much more systemically and start to really probably work with other people, well beyond design, to figure out what sustainability means in relation to this sort of stuff. So I thought it was an absolutely fascinating morning, and I hope you do too. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of the discussions this afternoon.